of the City of San Clemente City Council for August 6th. I'll call that to order. Let the record reflect only Councilmember. Let the record reflect that only Councilmember Ferguson is absent, and Councilmember Ward, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, would you please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic.
Let's have a respectful meeting. Let's respect each other's opinions. Let's respect what each other has to say. And let's keep this orderly and respectful, please. I'll say it. I'll say it again. Thank you. Can you hear me now? Thank you. Sorry. So let's agree to have a respectful meeting. Let's agree that we will respect what each other has to say and where we're coming from. Let's keep this orderly and respectful. And with that, I will ask the city clerk to call. I think we have 4 cards for oral communications, do we not?
Yes, we do. Warren the Green, Brad Malibu, Martina, and then concerned citizens.
Hello, council members. Speaking about motto, maybe an unusual topic. Our founders created a secular government with a strict separation between government and religion. They were very aware of the horrors that religion and government had inflicted on Europe. That separation is slowly eroding to our peril. In 1956, an evil American tyrant named Joe McCarthy forced God into our government for the first time. McCarthy amended the Pledge of Allegiance, and McCarthy replaced the motto of the United States with "In God We Trust." I now fear that this motto is misleading us and eroding our secular government to our peril. Recent events confirm my fears. Our original motto, E pluribus unum, out of many we are one, would be a much far better and more aspirational motto for us now in this time of turmoil. I'm a Catholic who has studied Catholic history, and I've learned that religion and politics creates evil. It consistently destroys freedom and has even brought down whole nations. Ask the Spanish about their Inquisition with its terrors and burning of heretics, which turned them into cruel and craven colonial masters. Ask the French, who expelled the Huguenots and crashed the French economy, setting the stage for their reign of terror. I pray to God that we remain a secular government, excluding religion from our civil actions. Otherwise, absolute power corrupts absolutely, and we'll reap the whirlwind.
Thank you, Mr. Green.
Thank you, Warren. The First Amendment allows everyone here free speech. My discussion is about the abuse of council's position and ethical violations of not the free speech rights of the person. Councilmember Duncan wrote and distributed a letter stating his position on city council letterhead in direct violation of the city council policy, which requires approval by the council before any council letterhead letter is used to state a position of the city. Mr. Duncan has every right to express his opinion, and I will back him on that. He's allowed to present his views and opinions, but not using council letterhead. He knows the rules. He has been on council for over a year and a half, and he's a longtime qualified attorney. So if he's not aware of the rules, he has a duty to review them before he uses city council letterhead. It is likely that Mr. Duncan also violated FPPC contribution limits by allowing staff to assist him in this effort, but I don't know that for sure. I asked Mr. Duncan to cease doing this in the future, to apologize for doing it, to remove it from letterhead, any of his opinions from future letterhead, and if not, to resign. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Malamud.
I'd like to start by saying that I don't believe that this meeting was sufficiently noticed. Typically, for a meeting to occur, it requires 72 hours notice. A non-binding resolution is not an item that would require immediate action. And this meeting today that is disrupting commerce on Del Mar speaks to the gross incompetence of our city manager and our mayor, Gene James, who set city agendas. Staff came in to City Hall on a Friday when it's normally closed, and today's staff is here. This could have waited until Monday, and a special meeting, if required, could have occurred on a Wednesday. More so, they both are responsible for setting the agenda. This item did not have to appear on the upcoming council agenda. It could have waited to another agenda, and ideally, at the next meeting, there could have been a motion to rescind. And I'm going to say this. Issues like this occur, what Brad addressed with Chris Duncan using city letterhead to expound on a personal belief is inappropriate. There needs to be a restatement of an ethics policy in this city, or there'll be more corruption and mismanagement and bad decisions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just waiting for my slide, please. Y'all, this has nothing to do with your topic, so please be patient with me. Please don't start it. I'm waiting for my slide. It's up. You can't read it. Hey, you can't read the slide.
There we go.
Can you make it any bigger?
No. City clerk, start your time, please. Please proceed.
1 second, now I have to reset. I request that you please reset my time until I start speaking, please.
Yes. Okay, we'll reset it one more. Are you ready?
No,
morning. Thank you for all you do for our beautiful Spanish village by the sea. It bothers me that taxpaying residents need you to get involved in issues that should be resolved by our highly compensated city manager. It bothers me greatly that you must get involved in issues caused by our highly compensated city manager. I'm asking you to require the city comply with its own ordinance 8.48.090C. It reads, activities conducted in a park or playground, provided such park or playground is owned and operated by a public entity, provided the activities do not include amplified sound or noise from said activities does not exceed 80 decibels, unless permitted pursuant to a special event permit or other city issued approval. In 2019, the city conducted a noise study at San Luis Rey Park due to noise complaints of residents resulting from the 4 pickleball courts the city installed. According to public records, they reported 84 decibels. The city took corrective action and decommissioned those courts immediately following council's approval. The city did not disclose their noise study findings to you, and staff actually led you to believe one had not been conducted. What the city did next is incredulous. They put 8 courts in San Gorgonio and placed them as close to residential homes as possible. This was despite the city's agreement to not place any noise producing activities near residents. Going from 4 to 8 courts is not going to bring the city in compliance with their own noise ordinance. Our city attorney, Mr. Scott, knew prior to the city installing any pickleball courts in residential areas that it could create a violation of Civil Code 3480. He knew this because he collected over $30,000 in fees as the attorney for the city of Newport Beach when it was sued for installing pickleball courts in a residential area. Did our attorney warn our city manager about its potential legal exposure? I can't answer that because city has refused my public record request citing attorney-client privilege. San Clemente residents are the city attorney's clients, and there has been no litigation or threat of any. Council, please waive privilege and instruct the city to provide these records. The majority of council has stated publicly that the activities at San G is negatively impacting residents, and these residents do not have an equal quality of life as stated in Civil Code 3480. Thank you for instructing the city to close all pickleball courts at San G once it has built a minimum of 4 courts in Steed Park. The city has been instructed to make this their top priority, but I've been informed it will take a minimum of 2 years. The city cannot violate its own noise ordinance or the state's nuisance code for the next 2 years. Since the city manager will not comply, I request that council make an exception and take immediate action. Require the city to cease its violation of 8.48.909C and Civil Code 3480. Finally, the city deserves a city manager who resolves issues, not create them. Mr. Sin has proven he is not capable.
Thank you very much. City Clerk,
Motion to waive reading in full of all resolutions and ordinances.
so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let the reflect 4-0.
Next item on the agenda, consideration of removing Sanctuary for Life City Resolution from August 16th, 2022 City Council meeting agenda. We do have 47 speaker cards.
So I'm going to ask council, so 3 minutes times 47, we'll be here quite a while, 3 hours. It's within the mayor's purview to limit that. I'm not going to do it unilaterally. Council, what are your thoughts?
I think, we're here on a Saturday for this. I think that they should be limited. I think everyone can say what they want to say within 1 minute or 2 minutes.
Okay.
And I think out of respect for everyone that they can definitely get their point across and we can move on this.
Mr. Noblock,
Yeah, I agree.
Miss Mayor Pro Tem?
Well, I think it's because we're on a Saturday, because we had this surprise meeting and everybody came and changed their schedules, that they should get the full allotment of time that we would normally give people. Usually we limit it because we have a lot of other items on the agenda to get to. Here we don't. We're just here for this. So I think we should stay with the 3 minutes.
So I'm going to not necessarily agree with the Mayor Pro Tem, but I am going to not adjust the time and keep it at 3 minutes. I will also, I'm going to have one thing I'm going to do before we get started is actually, I'm going to invert what we normally do and have council member comments before public comments in order for the crowd to gauge what they want to say. And I think it's important that they say it. I think it's important for the audience here to hear what each council member has to say. And we will also do a straw poll before taking a vote. We'll do a straw poll before we go to public comments on this. Councilmember Ward, your thoughts?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I appreciate your governance of the meeting. Since we're talking about the resolution to be pulled that I agendized, I'd like to make the first comment if you think.
You
that's
certainly
appropriate.
may. Okay.
Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I brought this item up in response to the Roe versus Wade decision being overturned. California had a standard for abortions, and Roe versus Wade said the false premise that the Constitution gave a right it doesn't exist in the Constitution, and sent the issue to the state courts. The state of California, the Democrat legislature and the Democrat governor responded to that by placing on the agenda Proposition 1, which takes away all abortion restrictions of any kind and allows abortions up to the 9th month, up to the end of the third trimester, clear up to the moment of birth. There's no restriction in Prop 1 that prohibits that.
No block. Okay. If we can't have a respectful meeting, we'll stop. We'll recess for 5 minutes and come back. I'm not going to remove anyone short of someone doing a criminal act. I'm not going to have anyone removed from this room. But we're going to be respectful. I'm going to be respectful of your opinions. I'm going to be respectful of your signs. And so will the rest of council. Mr. Noblock, please proceed.
So in response to Proposition 1, which removes all prohibitions on abortion, allows it at any time during the pregnancy, I suggested that this council respond by honoring life and by having a declaration that San Clemente to be declared a sanctuary for life. I know that's not, it's a divisive issue, but any issue that involves the life and death of people is very divisive. We've had in the last 50 years, 62 million human beings aborted. We're not talking about a mole, a sludge. We're talking about human beings. And I think it's important. The function of government is to protect life. And I think that it's important for all subdivisions, political subdivisions of California to weigh in. The state has put this on the ballot. It's a state issue. As San Clemente being a political subdivision of the state, it's appropriate to weigh in. This council may not agree with the recommendation, but we do have a right to weigh in, as we do on lots of public policy issues. So that's my reason for doing it, to protect human life. All children are human and they deserve to be protected. And I think that's vitally important. I know there's been a lot of vitriol and negative comments regarding this issue, but I think it's important. I think we need to value life. I know everyone doesn't agree, but some of the comments, some of the comments that I've heard, the press has had a lot of interesting comments. One that I thought was very interesting was that the suggestion that we have a resolution of this kind is tantamount to a Taliban tribunal, which really surprised me, which really surprised me, because let me think about that. Taliban kills innocent human beings. Abortion kills innocent human beings. So to put them together is interesting. Maybe the author of that comment can explain it someday. But also the argument has come out that this is a health issue. Killing one's child is the antithesis of mother's health. Killing a human child is the antithesis of mother's health. I know a lot of people disagree with that comment, but that's why I brought it up. And I appreciate the opportunity to be heard. And I respect the opinions of my fellow council members.
Thank you, Mr. Noblock. Councilmember Ward.
Thank you. With being elected to a local government office is a lot of responsibility. And with that responsibility, you have ethics that we are to follow. We are locally elected officials. We are supposed to put our energies towards the operations and the orderly development of the city of San Clemente. Beyond that, anything that is above that is not in our purview. We should concern ourselves with the municipal code, not what the state laws say, other than we are obligated to follow state law. When you bring up an issue like this that is not in our purview, it is the very definition of not being ethical or not respecting what your role is. I think that's the most important thing for an elected official to know, is what their role is. This is not our role. We are not your ministers. We are not your priests. We are not your authority on things like that. It is. There are dangers when you wade into something that is state law. When you speak and when a council speaks, when we do any resolutions, they should be for the city of San Clemente and should represent concerns of the city of San Clemente and our residents. When you wade in on state law, you're encouraging the state to come in and wade in on your local jurisdiction. We are now currently fighting the state on wading in on zoning issues that we know better for our residents, and our residents know better than we believe the state of California does. But if we wade in on their issues, it blurs the lines even more, and they will wade in on ours, and we will have no credibility in saying that we have local control. So you have to be careful in what you say. We have talked about things that are not our role, and we have talked about issues that we should not be bringing up. And this is just furtherance of that. This is something that never should be here. The words that are going to be spoken today should not be spoken from this dais ever. And I think why everyone is so concerned about this is not the issue itself of whether you're pro-choice or pro-life. It's because you are hearing this from your local government and you are not accustomed to that. You are accustomed to issues like this. You fight it in Sacramento if you don't agree with it. But you have to be for, everyone has to be for local government staying in their roles and doing the job they're supposed to do on any issue. It can't just be issues that you don't like. It has to be any issue, and we have to ethically stick to that. Our elections in the last 2 or 3 years have become very divisive and very political. And that is not what the city of San Clemente was up until about 2 or 3 years ago. These positions are nonpartisan, and we are elected to a nonpartisan position by all people to serve you, the residents, on local issues. This is just an example of why we do not get into issues that are not our purview. So I'm not going to be supporting that, and I'm going to be supporting that we continue in our roles and not overstep them.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Duncan.
All right. First of all, I want to thank you all for coming today. Public participation in our government is the foundation of our democratic republic. And I'd have to say, echoing maybe some of those comments we heard, the surprise scheduling of this meeting, I think, serves to stifle public involvement in this discussion. This was agendized in a July meeting. It was going to be brought up at the August meeting. That's what the public expected. People changed their schedules to be able to participate in that. We do have a lot of people today, but there's others who aren't able to be here today because they were planning on coming on August 16th. So the practical effect, I think, is to is a disservice to the public that we cut off some participation from members of our community. On the resolution itself, and I say this as a husband and a father of two daughters. You know, this resolution never should have been agendized. Women's rights are fundamental, and women's abilities to control their own bodies are sacrosanct. And I don't actually think this is a divisive issue. The overwhelming majority of our country, our region, and our city believe that women, not the government, have the right to choose. The resolution that we're discussing to take away those freedoms is government overreach, pure and simple. Women's bodies are not public property and should not be treated as such. Now, the removal of support today means that the will of the people has been heard. Your voices have been heard, if that's what happens as expected. So I'm anxious to hear all the comments today, but if it's anything like the overwhelming comments we heard in opposition to this, and thank you all for commenting and making your voices heard and sending us those emails, it was very important. It will mean that your participation, your involvement in this, you're standing up for your rights, for women's rights, for daughters' rights, for wives' rights, for women's rights to choose their own destiny, to control their individual freedoms is protected. And that will be a victory. And I sure hope that that's what happens today. Thank you.
So earlier this week, there was an LA Times headline that said Planned Parenthood has an ally in Mayor Gene James. Yeah, I know. I don't know who is more concerned about that headline, Planned Parenthood or me. So I'm pro-life. I won't apologize for that. I can't apologize for that. But additionally, you've had public comments. You'll have public comments in a moment. And I won't interrupt your public comments. I do regret, and I apologize for giving a second to Mr. Knobloch's motion. I thought we were going to have a discussion about it. It came out as a resolution. I was on vacation in Wyoming when it came out. Oh, I'll stop. Thank you. It's unfortunate it was leaked. I don't agree with it. And yes, I was the one who made the Taliban reference. Because it was overreach. The medical things that were stated in there simply were not accurate. And I'm not going to correct them. I'm not a physician, but those medical references should have never been in there to begin with. About the only thing I agreed with in the resolution is the 34 words from the Declaration of Independence in regards to our Creator. all the references to God, there was the word condemn in there, were inappropriate and simply should not have been in a resolution from the city of San Clemente. What I have learned in this process is there are different shades of pro-choice and there are different shades of pro-life. If that document created by Mr. Knobloch is the litmus test for being pro-life, I'm not pro-life. If I can't agree with in regards to the references to the pill, otherwise known as the morning after pill. I simply cannot, I can't be that draconian. I thank Assembly Member Lori Davies today, who made a press release saying that she cannot support this document either, because it would eliminate access to a woman, it would eliminate a woman's access to healthcare. And I agree with that. So with that, I think you know what our straw poll is going to be today. It's going to be 3-1. And City Clerk, let's instruct, we have 47, 48 now. Okay. So let's line up 10 at a time. If you could call out 10 names.
Donna Badree, Warren Badree, Brad Malibu, Martina.
Let's try it again. Thank you, Martina. That's 4. Then we've got Amanda, Linda Veraster, Jeanette Watson, Courtney Morrow, Deborah Party.
You're on.
I'm proud to live in a state where women have a fundamental right to choose to have an abortion. This right is protected under the California Constitution. As a woman, a mother, a nurse, a healthcare professional, I find that a woman's right to choose to carry a baby should not be dictated by politicians, particularly men who will never have to confront the difficult decision to carry or terminate a pregnancy. For our city council to align itself with extremist positions that are rooted in a desire to control, subjugate, and punish women like they did in the Dark Ages is unconscionable. There are so many positive reasons for San Clemente to gain a national spotlight, but this is not one of them. Let me remind Councilman Knobloch and the rest of council, your energy should be addressed to matters affecting the safety, development, preservation, and improvement of the city of San Clemente. You are not a tribunal empowered to override science, common sense, or the California Constitution. If you are concerned about inalienable rights, then affirm that in the state of California, women have the right to a safe abortion. If you are committed to the protection of life and liberty, then create an initiative in San Clemente to ensure that every man, woman, and child has access to food, medical care, and shelter. Show me one other effort you have spearheaded to ensure that the welfare, safety, and health of the born who reside in San Clemente is addressed. You seem only interested in redefining when life begins to encourage, and I quote, state police powers to be exercised against women and their doctors. The San Clemente City Council is hardly a scientific or medical body capable of defining when life begins. Yet, that's what you seek to do. Those multiplying cells you speak of are not a viable fetus. Just because a man's sperm successfully impregnates a woman does not mean that she should be compelled by government or the Supreme Court to carry that child to term. I'm a woman of faith, a pro-choice woman of faith. Let's not bring personal agendas driven by partisan platitudes that have been sanctioned by a Supreme Court that has abandoned case law and the Constitution to help take America back to a time when only white male landowners counted into the city. San Clemente is better than that. If Kansas City voted in favor of abortion rights, you know where California is. Let's put this shameful matter behind us and remove this item from the agenda forever. Thank you.
Hello, council. I find myself agreeing with 3 council members. That's something. Okay, the proposed
Today.
resolution should have never happened. Who wrote that thing? It's a screed. It substitutes paternalism for humanity. The residents oppose it. It profoundly misrepresents the original words of the Constitution, contains falsehoods. It replaces freedom with coercion and exposes women to harassment. It will intimidate doctors and hospitals and delay emergency treatment. Emergencies, especially in this case, must be addressed immediately or women will die. I'm a scientist. I'm actually a published historian as well. Your attempt at weaponizing science to support your beliefs is wrongheaded. Science sees fetal development as an evolving process. At first heartbeat, there's no actual heart, just a pulsating tube resembling an earthworm's heart. This is happening about the same time the embryo is developing gills like a primitive fish. The Bible certainly doesn't support your thesis. In Jesus' time, medical abortion was common, and fathers could legally kill their child in the first week of life until presentation in the synagogue. The 5th and 14th Amendments turn on the word person. In Greek and Roman times, this represented a person's face or a theatrical actor's mask. And they're used to portray. It always referred to an individual active in society. Words matter, and in the Constitution, we must rely on their original definition. Our whole legal system depends on such words. I was raised a Catholic, so I have my own personal beliefs. And my religion teaches me not to coerce others to conform to my beliefs. I pray to God that we remain a secular government.
Thank you.
It's a hard act to follow. I want to surprise most of the people that know me here and agree 100% with Councilmember Ward. I think she articulately spoke the proper position of this city and how the city should be acting. The city should not be taking positions. And for over 10 years, I've come to this podium and said, the council should not be acting on issues which they cannot legislate. We didn't elect you to do that. And Kathy Ward said it better than I could. I'd also like to comment that Mr. Duncan said a lot of things I might agree with, but it sounded more like a campaign speech. And I think that that's fine. You're campaigning. But I think the issue in front of everybody today is not pro or anti-abortion. The stated issue on the agenda for today is, as Ms. Ward said specifically, whether this should be an agenda item on the 16th. And that's the only thing that should be addressed to this issue today. The issue isn't even today whether abortion should be legal or illegal. council agenda items should not be used for virtual signaling. And that's what we're going to hear tonight or today. This item has made San Clemente the laughing stock of Southern California. And I cite you to the TV, radio, and newspaper. And I also want to give some advice as a lawyer to our mayor. People are allowed to clap. It is legally allowed, and the city has signed a consent decree on this issue. What's not allowed is prolonged disruption. That was fine. 5 seconds is not a prolonged. So the city attorney has been absent for months. I hope he's retiring. I hope you're getting rid of BB&K for the poor legal advice you're getting. But the fact that the city attorney who's sitting here hasn't told you that you cannot gavel people for clapping is the commentary that's really important today. Whether I agree with the people or not in this audience, you have the right to applaud things you agree with. Finally, the city has far more important issues than abortion because it cannot affect abortion. It has the TCA. It has our parks. It has $50 million deficit. I could go on. And it's got a city manager and a city attorney that needs to be looked at and replaced, in my view. Anyway, the issue today is the proposal. And I suggest that the straw poll be followed, this item be taken off the calendar. And I would just ask everybody, if you're going to speak tonight, speak for a minute, speak for 2 minutes, speak for 3 if you have to. But the issue of abortion is not in front of this body. The issue is whether this item should be agendized again. So speak to abortion if you need, but keep it to the point, because you're going to have everybody on both sides is going to be very repetitious. Let's try to get to the point. Thank you.
I believe this whole thing is a waste of time, and regardless of how we feel on the issue as individuals, whether we're pro-life, whether we're pro-choice, when do we believe life starts, and at what point, or if or whatever, can a woman have an abortion? What this is a monument. This proposition is a monument to ego, and it's similar to the Second Amendment resolution that Gene James introduced and had council pass. And I'll go a bit farther, that there's a lack of transparency in this city. And the fact of the matter is, the mayor didn't simply make a second on Councilmember Novak's motion. He campaigned in secret and asked Councilwoman Laura Ferguson if she would make this resolution or second this resolution. And Steve is my friend, and I support him, and I believe when he speaks, he's speaking from the heart. And I have an issue with Chris Duncan because he's using this as a platform for his assembly campaign. And I don't believe that you can serve two masters. You were elected to serve the citizens of San Clemente. You cannot properly do that and then seek higher office, because you are speaking out both sides of your mouth. On one issue, you're using it for your assembly campaign, and then as a council member, you're saying it's not under the purview. Decide what lane you're going to be on. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do want to applaud what my fellow citizens before me have said. I just have a very short comment for the members of the city council. This resolution is not what you were elected to do. It seems to me to be part of some hidden agenda. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's the way it seems. Who knows where it could lead? I just have a simple request when you run for office. Have the guts to be transparent in your goals and let the voters decide. Thank you.
Thank you.
The life sanctuary city movement is gaining momentum. Even cities with no abortion clinics are being proactive to prevent future abortion clinics through Sanctuary for Life ordinances. San Clemente does have the right to become a sanctuary city and ensure Planned Parenthood never takes a foothold within the city or within its high schools, as Planned Parenthood recently tried about 45 minutes from here on Monday, July 18th, 2022. Norwalk La Mirada Unified School District had originally planned to take a vote on a proposal to open Planned Parenthood at the high school, but decided not to after hundreds of parents and protesters showed up outside the high school. This is a close and real threat to all California schools, and a Sanctuary for Life resolution will prevent this atrocity from occurring in San Clemente schools in the future. At least 39 cities in Texas and 43 cities nationwide have stood up to pass Sanctuary for Life city ordinances, making abortion illegal within their city limits. It is clear cities do have the jurisdiction to become life sanctuaries if the city council members are bold and not willing to succumb to the pressure mainly from Planned Parenthood. The LA Times published an article 3 days ago, 8/3/22, in neighboring LA County in order to intimidate the citizens and city council members of San Clemente from passing this resolution. The article's opinion is from Los Angeles County, not San Clemente. The woman most quoted in the article is a public affairs project manager from Planned Parenthood. It is Planned Parenthood who is mustering the opposition as quoted in this LA Times article. We need the city council to be bold during this time and stand up for the right to choose life. When pregnancy centers are closed down and or politically, socially, and violently attacked to the point where women are afraid to seek assistance from pregnancy centers, women lose access to counseling service and moral, personal, financial, and spiritual support, which is desperately needed by these women. There is a real threat against pregnancy centers, and cities must take action to protect these centers, which protects a woman's right to choose life and have more than just the one option that Planned Parenthood and abortion centers profit from enormously. The Declaration of Independence proclaims that all people are created equal. We are endowed by our Creator with unalienable rights. Among these,
Thank you very much.
Thank you. My name is Linda Veraster, and I'm a San Clemente resident. I want to start with the story of my friends, Mike and Shelley. Shelley was a nurse like I was. Her husband was a physician I worked with, and they were beautiful. They were just as beautiful as some of these young women who are here today to speak on behalf of this resolution. They moved here from Ohio and thought that they had died and gone to heaven. They had 2 beautiful children and bought a house and were ready to welcome their 3rd child to the world when Shelley found the lump. And after much diagnostics, it was determined that she had advanced melanoma. Some people may be familiar that pregnancy hormones are like rocket fuel for cancer. And she and Mike ended up having to have a real serious conversation with their doctor about the first step towards her only chance to survive this episode, and that is the termination of her pregnancy. It was she, her husband, and her doctor. I'm pretty sure she didn't want Steve Knobloch in the room or any other government official. I'm here representing hundreds of members of the Democratic Women of South Orange County who are outraged that members of the San Clemente City Council would have the audacity to infringe on any of the freedoms that we enjoy as citizens of California and the United States of America. Freedom of privacy, bodily autonomy to make the most personal, important choices for women and their families ever. This ridiculous resolution has brought so much negative attention to our beautiful city. It can only be described as either a cheap election year trick by a council member running for re-election, an imposition of one person's extreme religious position on other people, an egregious overreach of government, a distraction from the city's real work of solving problems like homelessness, affordable housing, crumbling schools, promoting local businesses and our environment. We have never seen this level of outrage and engagement for our members on any issue, and rightly so. We and our neighbors in San Clemente deserve to have our rights and freedoms protected by and from our elected leaders. Withdraw this resolution now, respectfully.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Courtney Morrow. I'm a mother of 3 children and a resident here in San Clemente. This resolution is a complete disgrace. What a total disappointment in our city leadership. Some will want you to believe that this was a proposal, that this proposal was organically derived, but make no mistake. This was a calculated move by our very own mayor back in June, and there are emails to prove this. In recent statements, Mayor James has been quoted as saying he was appalled and embarrassed, when in fact he was intimately involved in coordinating this political stunt. How convenient to be distracting or distancing yourself now. This resolution was brought forth by a male council member, Steve Knobloch, who's up for re-election, and seconded by our mayor, another male, Gene James. The other three council members voiced their dissent upon initial proposal of such a ridiculous resolution. And for that, we thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Duncan and Councilmember Ferguson and Councilmember Ward. As a result, it will not pass, but that does not excuse the actions of Mayor James and Councilmember Knobloch for the political theater that they themselves created and the shame and embarrassment that they have brought our city on a national level. This is political grandstanding at its finest to motivate a voter base of religious zealots for their own personal gain to stay in power as we enter election season. This behavior will not be tolerated. We see you and we will not allow you and the other recent events coming out of this small beach town from an unhinged group of conservatives to represent the opinions of the reasonable and decent people here in San Clemente. Every town has their bad apples, but to have our very own mayor and council member engage in government overreach at the highest level, knowing very well this resolution has absolutely no teeth under state law and inevitably opens up our city to more litigation is intolerable, completely unethical, and a violation of their oaths of office. Knobloch and James, if you don't have the dignity to resign, you better believe we're coming for you and we'll vote you out when the time comes.
Shame on you, Councilman Knobloch. As a public servant, you should be working to bring our community together. Instead, you decided to propose a resolution that divides our beloved community into us and them. When you wrote this resolution, you knew that it would divide our community. You've chosen a controversial national topic that has passionate believers on both sides. And just look what you did. Neighbors glaring at each other on opposite sides. You should be bringing us together. There's smart and caring people on both sides, and we all have good reasons for believing the way that we do. And we often struggle to understand the other side. Good community leaders will help us work together to overcome our disagreements. Good community leaders are the ones who work to unite us. And to make matters worse, this resolution is only symbolic. It doesn't change anything. The city of San Clemente can't change state law. The only reason to bring this is to divide us. Regardless of which side of the fence you're on, I hope you can agree that this is a terrible idea. Just imagine someday there might be 3 council members who want to make this a pro-choice sanctuary city and vote that in. How would you feel? And hey, while we're at it, let's rescind that other divisive symbolic resolution that declares San Clemente to be a Second Amendment freedom city. It was passed by 3 council members, despite the fact that there are passionate arguments for either side. I say, let's tear up those resolutions. And you know what? I mention this because I think it's so ironic that Gene James, who seconded this, he wrote that because, and I quote, "I do see many of our constitutional rights are being trampled upon." That's why he wrote the other one. And he seconded this one. But I propose that we rescind that resolution. Let's tear up the one that we're discussing today. Let's replace it with a resolution to treat each other with respect. One that states that we realize that there's smart and caring people on both sides of difficult issues. Let's resolve to rise above our differences and respectfully work together to fix problems that are at a community level. Let's resolve to support our local businesses, support our Tritons, support our parks and our open spaces. Let's resolve to keep our streets safe and live together in harmony. Let's resolve to love our neighbors so that we can make San Clemente the best community ever. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next 10 speakers, Maya Munier, Patty Van Reckum, T. Cromie, Trudy Padobas, Barbara Helton, Dara Cortez, S. Simpson, Catherine Hall, Cheryl Heineke, Fred Heineke, Daniel Lawyer. Please line up and start speaking when you're ready.
Okay. I'm a longtime resident, active in the community, and a mother by choice, not force. I am disgusted by this attack on my bodily autonomy and the use of religious beliefs to dictate laws for people that don't share the same beliefs. Last time I checked, city councils were supposed to be nonpartisan, but your sanctuary of life is the opposite. In this piece of garbage document, you mentioned the Declaration of Independence affirming that all men are created equal, but this whole resolution is to take away women's rights over their bodies and to restrict their access to medical care. Abortion is healthcare. There are so many contradictions in this proposal. It's disgusting. You bring up the protection of liberty. Do you know what liberty means? I don't think you do. Liberty means being free within a society from oppressive restrictions imposed by authority on one's life. This whole thing is oppressing women into a sort of slavery to the reproductive abilities. Then you state you consider life to begin at conception. Since this law or this resolution is all based on beliefs, I'll let you know my belief. Human life does not begin at conception. It begins at fetal viability. There's also mention of protecting human life and treating people humanely and with dignity. Does this only apply to men? Because taking away women's rights is inhumane and undignified. You go on to attack Planned Parenthood. Guess what? When I was a poor college student without any insurance, that is where I went for low-cost healthcare. The place I went to did not provide abortions. So all you care about is taking away healthcare available to women. And it scares me when you mention that you stand firmly against any medications that cause a miscarriage. Are you aware of how many medications cause miscarriage? I have an autoimmune disease and take medicine to treat that disease. That medicine can cause a miscarriage. So you want to take away my access to medicine and impact my quality of life, but every man is allowed access to that same medicine. That is discrimination. You then go on to say that it's to protect any women from adverse reactions these drugs may cause. Are you implying women aren't intelligent enough to make their own healthcare decisions? At the end, you also mentioned that every human being will be defended, yet you are negatively impacting women, which is discriminatory. You're not defending us, you're attacking us. The last part of the resolution has a lot of God speech. Guess what? That's your God, not my God, not my friend's God. I find that discriminatory to my beliefs, and that is not okay. There needs to be a clear separation of church and state, and we do not need religious terrorists in any public office. This resolution is dangerous. It doesn't protect lives, it endangers them. I truly believe you want nothing more than to make women second-class citizens so you have more power. I am not here alone, and we will not back down. There are multiple human rights organizations watching you closely, ready to attack.
Thank you.
I'll speak a little calmer. My name is Patty Van Reckum, and I'm here to strongly oppose your resolution to restrict a women's rights to make healthcare decisions. I'm a 30-year resident of San Clemente. However, I'm here speaking on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Orange Coast, of which we have 25 members living here in San Clemente. And as a reminder to you, the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan grassroots organization working to protect and expand voting rights and ensure everyone is represented in our democracy. We were founded over 100 years ago, and we have over 700 state and local leagues throughout the county. Our members serve as watchdogs in city, county, and state meetings throughout the nation. We are a force to be reckoned with. The League's national position is, quote, every U.S. resident should have access to affordable quality health care, including birth control and the privacy to make reproductive choices. In June of this year, the Supreme Court ruled to overturn the constitutional right to abortion. The League of Women Voters, like millions of Americans, will not stand for this. Neither will our partners in the reproductive rights movement. We were active in Kansas, and we will be active on this issue in every city and every state. Women's freedom to choose their jobs, names, lifestyles, and their health choices have been hard won in this country, and we're not giving them up. We fear the dangerous consequences of this decision. Women hold the power to create a more forceful and perfect democracy. We will not stand by as constitutional rights are stripped away one by one. Women's rights are human rights, and we will continue to fight until the right to abortion is restored. Our lives and our democracy depend on it. And finally, according to Pew Research and other research sources, women vote in larger numbers than men. So we will remember your actions and those of candidates with similar views to limit the rights of women in November. Thank you.
Hi, I'm T. Cromie. I'm a resident here in San Clemente. My message here today is mainly to Mayor Gene James and Mr. Steve Knobloch. You claim that you're pro-life and that you honor life, but I really do not believe you, because abortion saved lives. Planned Parenthood saves lives. Taking away access to abortion and health facilities like Planned Parenthood put anyone with a uterus at risk. Planned Parenthoods don't only provide abortions, but they provide sex education, they provide birth control, cancer screenings, STI testing, and STI treatment. And without legal and safe abortion, abortions won't stop. They will only become more dangerous and will put more women at risk of dying. So the proposal of making San Clemente a sanctuary for life city is not pro-life. You are not advocating to save lives. It directly affects the lives of anyone with the capacity for pregnancy, and it puts them in danger. That's all.
Good afternoon. My name is Dara Cortez. I am a Christian. I am a wife of a first responder. I am the mother of 2 children, a small business owner, a licensed clinical social worker, and a community volunteer. I am also a very proud resident of San Clemente. Oh, and Mr. Knobloch, I'm also a homeowner, so hopefully my voice matters today. Today is not most significantly about pro-life or pro-choice for me, as in the most recent decision by our Supreme Court, our state will continue to provide abortion services. Even if by chance that the proposal went forward, it cannot be legally enforced here. Today is about exclusivity. Today is about abuse of power right here in San Clemente. You, Mr. Knobloch, and Mr. James had no right to represent our community in a way that doesn't represent the whole of us. You took your own personal views, had discussions about them, as I have seen some of the documented correspondence leading up to this proposal, and you knew exactly what you were doing proposing this resolution. Your words, Mr. Knobloch, were your religious beliefs, and you excluded those of different religious faiths and those of none. That also encompass San Clemente, who are also tax-paying San Clemente residents who you have been elected to represent. Mr. Knobloch and Mr. James, whether you like it or not, this forum is a democracy in which you were chosen to be a part of. Your role is a gift. It is a gift to represent the thoughts, feelings, and experiences of all of those who reside in San Clemente, not just some of your choosing. You have failed in this regard. Our town is full of brilliant, creative, loving residents. And you both have brought shame here. And to make matters worse, you have put our town in the media and not in a positive light. I hope that you intentionally sit with not just the words of the people that are speaking today, the San Clemente residents, but their experiences, as you've deeply and significantly missed the mark. Mr. James, I've seen the text. You've already stated you would vote no if this was addressed again. Mr. Duncan, Mrs. Ward, and Mrs. Ferguson, we ask that you vote no on this resolution and resume focus on local matters that are challenging the day-to-day in our hometown. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, council members. My name is Barbara Helton. I'm an over 25-year resident here of San Clemente. This resolution is absolutely abhorrent to me. Mr. Knobloch and Mayor James, by seconding it, asks the city council to go on record as one that does not support a woman's right to make reproductive health care choices. It asks the city to enforce, even though resolutions are unenforceable, and dictate what and where women's health services will be provided. And Mr. Knobloch wants to use his God to justify it. This resolution additionally ignores the fact that abortion is legally protected in California. Thank goodness that our governor, administration, and legislature trust women and respect our authority and ability to make decisions about our own reproductive health and futures. This resolution feels like a very slippery slope. Can the city tell pharmacies what medications they can sell? Can it tell mothers that procedures protecting their health will take place in a local hospital? What's to keep the council or the city from trying to convert this to law, except a potentially huge lawsuit? What's the next resolution it will try and pass that offends and further divides this community along political and religious beliefs? I shudder to think. Too often, proposals from this council propagate the religious and political ideologies of certain council members. Our city council needs to focus on the issues that affect our quality of life, issues that citizens care about, many of which have been already listed today. Religion and personal politics must not drive council action. Do not jeopardize our city. Do not jeopardize our city with unnecessary legal problems. Withdraw this resolution from the city council agenda and do not bring it back. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Trudy Padobas, and as of August 15th, I will have been a 25-year resident of San Clemente. I'm a businesswoman, a lifelong Missouri Synod Lutheran, mother to 2 San Clemente High School graduates, and involved in the community as a volunteer for over 25 years. Over the years, I've worked with city officials, sheriff's department, and community organizations such as Kiwanis on drug abuse, anti-gang, and anti-bullying programs here in San Clemente. I've helped organize many Red Ribbon Week parades down Del Mar and pride myself in attending almost every Memorial Day service of the city in these last 25 years. I am appalled by the creation of this resolution by one councilman. It is overreaching, it is intrusive, and I view it as a direct attack on my personal freedoms. How dare a male councilman draft this resolution to tell female San Clemente residents what they can and cannot do in their private lives? How dare you impose your personal opinions, religious views, and will on the women of this city? I read very carefully the city's mission statement you've posted on your website. Nowhere in that mission statement does it ask city employees or elected officials to get involved in personal health decisions. Your resolution, Mr. Knobloch, is polarizing, politicizing, and proselytizing. This is not your job, nor is it what you were elected to do. You are using city tax dollars, the taxes that I pay, on federal and state issues over which you have no jurisdiction. You are wasting taxpayer dollars. The first sentence of the city's mission statement declares that the city is dedicated to maintaining a safe, healthy atmosphere in which to live, work, and play. Maybe instead of using city resources on dictating personal decisions of women here in San Clemente, you should be ensuring that any one of us women doesn't get killed by a motorized bicycle on the beach trail. Maybe you should not be giving out ammunition gift boxes at the city's sacred Memorial Day services. What a message that gives our children in this community. Maybe you should read the city's mission statement very carefully and live up to your oath to provide for the city's long-term stability by promoting economic vitality and diversity, resulting in a balanced community. Your writing of this resolution represents exactly the opposite of what the city's mission and its responsibilities are. Shame on you to taint the city that I love.
Hi, my name is Catherine Hall, and I am a resident of San Clemente. I stand here before you proudly and firmly pro-choice, not pro-abortion, pro-choice. If this was about children, if this was about honoring life, there are things that this country could do to reduce abortions. Among these things, provide education, provide access to healthcare, including contraception, provide access to affordable healthcare, provide family leave, provide affordable quality healthcare, provide living wages. All of these things are important. They are not the business of San Clemente. What does not stop abortions is laws that restrict a woman's right to choose. We fought this battle, and we won this battle in 1973. It is unfortunate that we are now back in the position of having to protect a woman's right to choose. I have personally witnessed the results of illegal abortions. I have seen women harmed so they could not carry children ever again because of an illegal abortion. I have witnessed a woman bleed out because of an illegal abortion. Outlawing abortions does not save lives. If this was about children, there would be no children in foster care. According to the Kids Count Data Center, in 2016, there were 437,500 children in the US in foster care. In California, in 2016, there were 54,685 children. Where's your concern for those children? According to the Department of Health and Human Services, in 2020, there were 407,000 children in foster care. In that year, 57,900 were adopted. You do the math. That's over 300,000 children without homes. Where's your concern for those children? On a personal note, as a young woman, I wanted children, and I experienced multiple miscarriages. After those miscarriages, in 2 instances, I required medical procedures to save my life. Procedures that would be illegal or impossible to achieve in some of our states now. That's my life. I'm here to ask that you remove this unenforceable designation and reject any of this ilk. I'm here to defend a woman's right to choose. I'm here to defend my right to choose, and I will continue to fight for my grandchildren and all future generations of wanted children. Keep your religious views, keep your healthcare decisions in the hands of those that truly have the skills to make those decisions. Thank you, and I hope you make the right decision.
Please proceed.
Hello, my name is Cherie Simpson. I've been a resident and homeowner of San Clemente for 35 years. I wrote an email to everyone on the council previously this past week. Wow, the city of San Clemente now has negative attention nationally due to this proposed resolution. Just think about it. Think about how we used to pride ourselves on our previous associations with perfect weather and the Western White House and our beautiful, beautiful beaches. I urge you to stop this now before it can further taint tourists and visitors' views of our lovely city, causing irreparable damage to our businesses. For example, on the Nextdoor app, people are responding, well, I'm not going to shop in San Clemente anymore. I used to love their restaurants. Why should I go to a city that promotes ideology like this? So my first question is, what is the purpose and the responsibility of a council member? I went to the council members page to get all of your email addresses, and I could not find a definition of what your job is to do. Is it to decide on matters regarding zoning, new buildings and corporations, and the positive marketing of our city, and to suggest changes to keep our city viable? And I'm requesting that the secretary at this meeting, please include this request for a definition of the responsibilities and the things that they're not supposed to do to be included on our City of San Clemente Council members webpage. That way we all know and everybody can see what those responsibilities are. Is the City of San Clemente not considered a city of the United States? As city council members, is it not your duty to enforce the separation of church and state? If so, in my opinion, Mr. Knobloch's individual personal religious views and his associated resolution have no reason to be included in the governance of our city. Are we not more than just authoritarian Bible thumping Christians in this city? Please include this request in today's minutes to define on the city webpage, including verbiage regarding the separation of church and state and how the implementation of such divided opinions should be voted on first by the citizens. This resolution representing the city is in the hands of 5 people and could be passed by the vote of just 3 people to represent our entire city. Something so personally affecting the lives of all women in the city should not be decided by 5 people. As it affects women's health, this idea is not up to a small group of council members to decide. Men, all of you men up there, think about this for a minute. If 5 people had a say over your body's reproductive system. This needs to be put on a ballot first so you can get the votes of the individual residents to ensure how the people of San Clemente wish to be represented, and not the opinions of one vocal authoritarian council member. At the next election period, I can assure you that I and many others will definitely vote for those who do not impose their individual religious beliefs on us. What's next? First, you're going after this. What's your next proposed resolution? Sorry, please remove it. Thank you.
I'm going to call the next 10 speakers up as these next couple are coming. Jiffy,
Good morning.
Bethany
My name
Padilla.
is Cheryl.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
My name is Cheryl Heineke, and I'm a homeowner here in San Clemente. Everything that I was going to say before is basically already been said. However, I want to remind you that you are not the moral police. Our founding fathers in this country felt that it was important to enshrine in the Constitution. They made it the First Amendment, the first sentence of that is, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Your belief in your resolution was a religious belief. You are trying to blur the line between government and religion, and I resent that. Dump this resolution.
Good morning. My name is Fred Heineke. I live in San Clemente with my wife, Cheryl. And as she said, most of it's been said, but I want to say that this council has made a complete mess of what you're doing. You have made an unforced error by setting this entire event into motion with the bad resolution, the horrible second, and now you're trying to get out of it with a meeting that has less than 24 hours notice. Shame on you all. And for Mr. Noblock, I have to say that religion, as my wife just said, is enshrined in the First Amendment, which is the one that comes before the second. And shame on you for trying to push your religious beliefs on us.
Good afternoon. My name is Dan Lawyer. I've been a resident here for 30 years plus. I'm a combat veteran in the Marine Corps. I'd like you to understand my position, which is complex. I am not able to speak on behalf of women because I'm not one. So I personally support women in their decisions. And I provide or try to provide them every opportunity to be able to make their choices happen. That means that the PRC Center here in San Clemente needs to be protected. It means that we should not allow the abortion clinics to be set up in our high schools, and our children should not be allowed to or able to receive the abortion pill by mail without any parent supervision. I also want to say, just to get back to what this meeting is supposed to be about, and that's that it was called without 24 hours notice. It was really not done correctly, and we should not be even discussing this. It should be discussed on August 16th as it was originally planned. Thank you.
All right, next 10 speakers, Jiffy, Bethany Padilla, Jane Wall, Light, Agata, I believe, or I'm sorry, John Pradal. I'm probably mispronouncing that. Brian Purdy, again, the spelling's hard to read. Leslie Ayala, Brett Gross, Jacqueline Staggs, Jessica Whalen, and Allison Schumacher.
Okay, they know me best as Jiffy. So my name is Jennifer Massey. I've been paying taxes and own a home in Southwest San Clemente since 1980. So I may be the oldest. Yeah, I'm probably the oldest in the room, but also the oldest resident. Anyway, this is a little different from what everybody else has said, but I support totally all the other speakers. It was a sweltering hot day, that July 4th, 1876. As a young nation, the United States of America celebrated its centennial in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Susan B. Anthony strode to the speaking platform, uninvited as she was, not on the official program. The National Women's Suffrage Association had requested a speaking role at the official celebration, but they were politely told the roster was filled. Instead, they were given 5 seats in the audience. Later, after the official reading of the Declaration of Independence, Susan rose from her seat and approached the men on the platform. She presented Vice President Thomas W. Ferry with a Women's Declaration of Rights, a document demanding justice for women that she had thoughtfully written with Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Matilda Gage. As she left the platform, Susan's words that day still ring true. And this is what she said: "We ask justice. We ask equality. We ask that all the civil and political rights that belong to citizens of the United States to be guaranteed to us and our daughters forever." Nearly 150 years have passed, and women still find themselves fighting for justice, equality, and the right to make their own decisions about their bodies. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. My name is Jane Wall, and I am a resident of the city of San Clemente and also the executive director of the Pregnancy Resource Center Medical Clinic in this city. That I had written emails to some of our council members, and I had something else to say this morning to you that was more to the point of talking about, really today is about whether or not we were going to discuss this and have it as a discussion point on August 16th, as Dan Lawyer pointed out, because that's truly why we're here today. And that's our civil discourse. That's our freedom to speak. And we respect everyone's opinion. But based on all the things that are being spoken, and there's a lot of voices going around on, and it's such a heated topic, I want to just share with you something what I see about life and what happens when people come to the Pregnancy Resource Center, because that ties into why the Sanctuary for Life. There are places just outside of our city where people are free to get abortions, and there's also abortion availability by mail, and it's just something that's out there. But I want to speak to you from a position that's unique. Taking a stand for life is not always easy. I have found in my 15 years experience at PRC in San Clemente that women in unplanned pregnancies are often fearful and feel that they have no choice or no one to support them along the way. When we meet them with care and compassion and provide support, resources, and practical help, over 65% choose life for their preborn children. I've never had a client come back to us that say they've made a mistake. The overwhelming response is that they could not imagine their lives without their little ones, and they are grateful PRC was there to help them through this decision and support them along the way. We're often people are often critical of pregnancy centers. They say that we give misinformation or fake medical clinics, but nothing's further from the truth. We are a licensed medical clinic by the state of California, and we provide medically accurate information, including life beginning at conception, that each fertilized egg becomes a separate human being. It has its own DNA, hair color, skin color, sex, all the physical attributes are already predetermined on day one, and we're able to share pregnancy options for clients to make an informed decision. And to make good choices, one must have all the information and then decide for themselves. We are honored we can serve these women and give them the freedom to choose. So while the opposition to life-affirming centers and life-affirming actions such as this proposed resolution, we know it's great. But from where I stand, the reward is saving generations and preserving our God-given rights of liberty and life. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is John Randall, and I am a husband, a father of 4 children, and a resident here of San Clemente for over 15 years. And I'm also the senior pastor of Calvary South OC, located here in San Clemente. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, I want to thank you for the work that you seek to do. I do appreciate your time and effort that you put forth to make important decisions that affect all of us. And I want to say it's unfortunate that in many places we have lost the art of civil discourse without fear of being canceled. But I'm thankful for everybody being able to step up today and share their thoughts. I believe that abortion is the gravest mass human rights abuse of our time when you consider 63,459,781 Americans' lives have been lost since 1973. My mother became pregnant at the age of 17 when it wasn't popular to be pregnant, and she could have done something about it, but she chose to give me life, and I am thankful for her choice. And since human rights are grounded in being human, not in a person's age, level of development, or location, human embryos and fetuses have the same inalienable and universal rights to life as human infants, toddlers, teenagers, and adults, and even people in comas. In addition, let me say that personal autonomy with respect to one's body is important, but we also need to remember that freedom to exercise one's bodily autonomy is not absolute. For example, you have the freedom to drive a car, but you don't have the freedom to drive it on the sidewalk. In other words, although personal autonomy is important, the individual does not live in a social vacuum. In public policy matters, we should think about the individual's freedom and possible consequences, and even negative consequences for our neighbors. I believe that the unborn child is our neighbor, and it turns out that in abortion issue, there are 2 bodies, 2 human beings, and we have to consider the reality of the body that's aborted. If bodily autonomy is important, so too is bodily autonomy of the unborn child. In abortion, What's being destroyed isn't merely a clump of cells or a mess of tissue or an appendix. It's genetically distinct living human being. Our current governor has stated emphatically that he wants California to be a sanctuary state for abortion. He's put forth legislation, AB 2223, and even propositions that are coming out that would put to death children, even potentially outside the womb. And I am here personally today to declare that this is not a political issue, a medical issue, but a human rights issue. And we will continue to stand and be a voice for the voiceless. And I pray that more people will choose life. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. 1 second, please. 1 second. Like I said earlier, let's be respectful of everyone's opinion and respectful of what everyone has to say. Cat calls and yelling is inappropriate. Please cease. Thank you.
Hi, I'm here to defend the life of babies and the rights of babies. I'm a registered nurse and I volunteer at the San Clemente Pregnancy Resource Center, and I do limited ultrasounds. And I'm here to tell you that that's a baby. And I'm here to tell you that that's a heart, a beating heart. And I'm here to tell you it doesn't have fish gills. It has fingers and toes, just like you. And I'm here to tell you that I am proud of you to stand up for what's right, not religious right, but right before God. And all right, you know what? You have a God. You serve him well.
Please,
I know
direct,
who he is.
direct
So,
your comments.
I'm just saying that yeah, that's right. I'm proud of you for standing up for God. That's right. That's right. I know it's not your God. It's obvious. It's obvious. So I'm here and I will stand up for you. And you know what? I'd rather stand alone with God than with all of you guys who don't know him.
Thank you.
You know, so that's right. I would rather stand alone with God than with you sodomites. Sorry, but that's what you are. Yeah. So,
Okay, direct your comments to
all right.
council,
So
please.
that's all I'm saying is, if the governor made a sanctuary state, you know, you all are going to have your abortions. You're all going to do that. So I don't know what everybody's so upset about, but anyway, that's my view. Life begins at conception. You say you believe in science. You all don't even know when a man is a man and a woman is a woman. So don't tell me about science.
Okay, please allow the next speaker. Thank you.
My name is Leslie Ayala, and I am a resident of San Clemente. Except for a few short years, I have lived in San Clemente since 1993. I am here today to express my extreme displeasure to learn that certain city council members are using their position to promote their religion and restrict healthcare choices for women in the proposed resolution to declare the city of San Clemente's sanctuary for life. One of the things that I'm very bothered by specifically is item number 3. It reads, "The City Council of San Clemente hereby stand on this resolution to not only protect life, but also to honor God who gives life. We believe that life is God ordained and God is the author and finisher of every life. No matter if it is at the beginning or at the end, we stand in agreement that as a city council, we will protect and sustain life at every stage. As we ask God to bless America, we first have to honor and respect God. By protecting life and passing this resolution, we feel that we do both. Although I am vehemently against the resolution as a whole, I am especially appalled at the extremely religious language of this item in the resolution. Why does your religion get to make city policy that restricts healthcare for women? A city council made up of 5 people in a city of approximately 65,000 should not be making medical decisions for their community. Those decisions should be made with the doctor, not government officials. I am a resident of San Clemente. I vote, and I strongly disagree with this resolution. Thank you.
Esteemed council members, my name is Brett Gross. I've been a resident of San Clemente since 1964. I'm a father of 4, married to my wife, Barbara, who's the woman in the family and wished that she could be here today, but she's currently out of state. So I am speaking on her behalf as well as my own. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to speak this morning, not about the contents of the resolution, but about removing it from the council agenda. The resolution is a can of worms, which once opened is going to be a mess, which will likely feed division on many levels in our community. The resolution addresses subject matter that arouses strong passions from citizens of all opinions. The resolution uses language which will draw strong support or strong opposition based upon moral, religious, legal, medical, and ethical grounds. There are citizens and groups on both sides of the issue who want opportunities to engage in legal action, and this resolution, however well-intentioned, will supply that opportunity. The city of San Clemente has many issues which require the council's attention and the city's financial resources. Defending the multiple legal actions which will likely result from this resolution will be a drain upon the council's time and the city's treasury. I urge the council to remove this resolution from the agenda of August 16th, 2022 City Council meeting and focus on more productive matters. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, I'm Jessie Whelan. I'm a San Clemente resident. I'm a homeowner. I'm a mother by choice. I'm a mother for choice. You were elected to represent us, San Clemente. If you look in this room, out in the hallway, out in the overspill room, out on the street, you will see, hold on, I lost my spot here, sorry. You will see that Sanctuary for Life does not represent San Clemente. People showed up here even on a very short notice to be able to be heard, to be able to represent what they believe our city needs. How dare the city council declare what's right for a female body, for someone's health, for a family's future? Like so many have said, it's an overreach and abuse of power. Stay out of my body, out of the bodies of all women and those that are too young to speak. No block, all women are human too. Protect us and our rights. Remove the city resolution, remove no block. I know who I'm going to vote for this fall. And remove Jane James. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian Parmalee. I'm a resident of San Clemente, a homeowner. I don't have any prepared remarks today. I appreciate everybody who did come with prepared remarks. I did want to say something, and I don't have anything new to say. It's all been said, but as my daughter said, repetition is important. I vote every year. I vote for our city council, and I vote for our city council to do the work to get the city better every day. And I just ask you to get back to that work and really improve our city, our beautiful city, and not spend time on things like this resolution.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mayor James, Mayor Pro Tem Duncan, city council members, city staff. My name is Jacqueline Staggs. I've lived in San Clemente for over 30 years. I raised my 2 children through Concordia Elementary, then went to Shore Cliffs, they went to San Clemente High School. I moved my father here from Florida 10 years ago. 1, because I love it here. 2, because I needed him close. And 3, because the city of San Clemente cares about its seniors. You can see that through all the city programs and the support offered for our senior citizens. I'm here unprepared as well. I've been making notes on this, what I called ridiculous resolution, because I just found out. And speaking of my father, I spent all morning connecting his modem. So now you know my comments are not prepared. Took longer. I'm going to respectfully ask you to remove this resolution from the August 16th City Council agenda. That is the purpose of my speaking. I am not here to talk about pro-life or pro-choice because the California Constitution protects that right. So it's out of the city's hands. I want to say hi to the overflow room. Hi, you guys. There's so much of your time could be better spent working on the general plan update, the housing resolution, getting it certified. You know, if we're not certifying our housing resolution and meeting RENA numbers, we could lose state funds for programs. There is so much you can be working on. A Saturday, why are we not outside enjoying our vibrant community right now? That I don't understand. I did look at the housing element, and I did notice that female head of households, the percentage is high, very high. So this resolution, I don't want to speak to pro-life or pro-choice, but it impacts these head of household women's, the high percentage in San Clemente. And so again, you know, and if pregnancy crisis centers, which by the way, don't give accurate information, nor give information about abortion, are allowed and approved, whether they're medically licensed, but the city council and the planning commission approves them, I think that Planned Parenthood or abortion providers should get the same planning commission approval and the same city council approval. One more thing I want to say.
Thank you.
That's it.
Hello, my name is Allison Schumacher, and I'm a 21-year resident of San Clemente. I'm a mother of two, a survivor of 8 pregnancies, and an advocate for choice. Before moving to San Clemente, I am a licensed clinical social worker. I worked for the Department of Children and Family Services in Los Angeles in the children's department. I have never met a young girl, a woman, a mother who woke up one day and said, "This is a great day to have an abortion." These women, any woman who comes to the place where they need an abortion, has made that decision willfully, often very, very in sound mind, and often entirely unsupported. In my experience in the county and children and family services, seeing thousands of children uncared for, irreparably harmed by our foster care system, loved and unable sometimes to go back to their families of origin, and alone and then emancipated alone, often ended up trafficking, dead, in prostitution. I am concerned with the living. I understand and respect different points of view of viability of life. I am a Christian. However, I do not presume to make another woman's choice or judge her for it. I would like to support her for it. I voted for many of you and hoped that you would represent San Clemente across the board. For those of us with entirely opposing belief systems, there is room for all of us to support each other. But primarily, you should know the Constitution and the law way better than I do. And I know that it is definitive on the separation of church and state. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll call the next 10 speakers. Carolyn Blair, Mary Farrell, Jenna Duncan, Jeanette Padilla, Beatrice Johnson, Sally Sanders, Linda Hackworth, Anne Marie Hines, Celeste Little, and Florence Hanan. Carolyn Blair, Mary Farrell, Jenna Duncan, Jeanette Padilla, Beatrice Johnson, Sally Sanders, Linda Hackworth, Anne Marie Hines, Celeste Little, Florence Hanan. Are any of those speakers here? Come on up. If you could each just state your name as you begin to speak, we'll get you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
My name is Celeste Little. I've owned a residence in San Clemente since 1986. I am a mother of 3. When I was 17, I had an abortion by choice. I was fortunate that it was legal, and it has affected the direction of my life and enabled me to be productive, to be a mother who was well supported by family and had a husband and so forth. And I appreciate the fact that our Constitution provides me that option, or provided me that option. I appreciate the state of California that has secured that for me. And I appreciate all the women and men who have spoken today so eloquently. I may not be able to speak as eloquently because I didn't have very much time to prepare, but I do have a few things I wanted to say. The founders of our government, they valued liberty, which clearly would include a woman's liberty to make healthcare decisions for herself. Let's keep the city government out of our medical offices and out of women's bodies. This resolution seeks to violate human rights and invokes the word God 5 times in the last paragraph. The prior speaker did read that last paragraph, and the word God is invoked 5 times, which is a stark violation of the First Amendment, which establishes the separation of church and state. The first part of the First Amendment thing. There are as many visions of God as there are people in the United States of America. Everyone has their own vision of what God is or isn't. Women's health care is a deeply personal issue. There are many lives at stake here, including the lives of pregnant women and young teens. Their health care decisions should be made by them and by their medical professionals. We have heard several things today that are falsehoods about abortions being applied in the 9th month to viable fetuses. That's false. I think it's false that the Pregnancy Resource Center provides only accurate scientific information. I think that they have a very strong bent and that they're binding women's arms behind their backs. So I want everybody to remember that the government needs to keep their hands off our bodies. Keep your religion out of my government. Abortion bans kill innocent human beings as well. So please stay in your lane and pay attention to what your responsibilities are. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I go next? I'm Sally Sanders.
Yes.
I don't live here. I live in Laguna Beach, but I've had to come here to San Clemente to protest several times because I'm an anti-racist, I'm a social activist, and there's a lot of crazy crap that goes on here in San Clemente. And, you know, I'm on social media, so a lot of people in San Clemente are very embarrassed by this. And they're like, oh my God, that's not what our town is like. But yeah, y'all already got a bad reputation. Kurt Reinhold was killed here for crossing the street. A homeless Black man, all he was doing was crossing the damn street. Jaywalking is why these homeless liaison cops decided to hassle him. He was not in his right mind. A lot of these homeless people are struggling with mental health issues. Homelessness is not a crime. Mental illness is not a crime. And yet the cops got away with killing him here. Not only that, but when we came here to protest, they arrested our photojournalists. That's fascism. You guys, just for being in the street, y'all got to get together, man. But yeah, this is just over the edge with this abortion crap. Keep your religion to yourself. Keep it out of our lives and out of our body.
Hello, my name is Carolyn Blair. I've been a resident, homeowner in San Clemente for over 30 years. I am pro-life, really saddened by a lot of what I've heard here today. The number one thing to address is I believe this should be on the agenda. At least we should be able to speak about it. And if you've ever seen an abortion, it's brutal, it's gory, it takes the life of a human being. And so I would hope that San Clemente would be a sanctuary city for life. That would be my prayer, I think. Steve Noblock, I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right. I'm sure you feel very alone. And I don't know if the resolution maybe needs to be reworded, but I do believe that it should at least be able to have something that says we are a sanctuary city for life, and that keeps Planned Parenthood and other abortion facilities out of our city. There are plenty of cities in California, very neighboring ones, that you can go to if you wish to have an abortion. I pray you don't, because you're taking the life of your child. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mary Farrell. I'm living in San Clemente 7 years, but we've owned our house since 1978 and come down here often. Mr. Noblock, you are a hero. You are a man of courage, despite the messy wording. Courage is in short supply in this country, especially among our men. Thank you. Thank you for even stepping out there. I hope saying, I want this resolution on August 16th. I hear all the time we're supposed to have conversations. Let's do it. God bless you, and God bless all of you. This is a tough day. I am here to speak up for those who cannot speak or vote or protest or even pray. They are babies. We cannot kill them. If it's not a baby, do what you want.
Thank you.
My name is Jeanette Padilla, and I'm a resident of San Clemente for 20 years now. And I belong to the Respect Life ministry in our church and attend the 40 Days for Life, which they're going to make it 365 days for life. And I am thankful to Councilman Noblock for being courageous to bring this to a head, or at least address it. And as far as the pregnancy center here in San Clemente, the work that they do is awesome. And the story, you don't hear the stories from the women that are pressured, forced to get abortions. Oh, they certainly do, because they're, no, they've spoken up. They've spoken up. And first of all, everybody's talking about my God is not your God, and leave our gods alone. I believe there's only one God. And he provided life. And he's the only one that can produce that life and give you the ability to make life. And he's the only one that can end a life. God. If you haven't experienced God, I'm so sorry for you. Look for him. He's there. But as far as this
proposal. I think we need to look at it a little bit more and stop getting all your information from all the wrong sources. Look at both sides. I was taught in school to make a good choice means to look at both sides of the issue, then make your decision. But it is very, very obvious that the abortion side, they only look at one side. They will not look at the other. And that means uninformed. That means ignorant of
Thank you very
all
much.
the issues.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Florence Hannon, and I'm here with Erin, and she's going to speak on my behalf right now.
Thank you.
Hi, also a homeowner in San Clemente and citizen. Council members and Mayor James, your personal opinions matter, but not any more than the opinions of every one of our citizens. We have about 65,000 citizens in this town. Your job in this role is to represent the well-being of 65,000 citizens. That means that when you enter this room, your personal opinion matters by only 1 in 65,000. That's about 0.001%. You are welcome to exercise your opinion in the same ways that I am. You can vote, you can donate to causes that are important to you. You can use your freedom of speech, but this is a sacred room. In this room, you have been elected to be the stewards of San Clemente. With this resolution written by Mr. Knobloch and pre-planned by Mayor James as early as June of this year, you have abused your power. You have used your political power to drag our town into making a political statement. And any minimally savvy politician would know that this resolution would have zero tangible impact and serve only to put our community at odds. You should be ashamed of yourselves. You took advantage of your power at the detriment of our community. We have lost faith in your fitness to serve on behalf of our citizens. Because of this, we call for the resignation of Councilman Steve Knobloch and Mayor Jean James for destructive and politically motivated abuse of power.
Good afternoon, City Council. I'm really honored to be here. 1 Corinthians 15:13 says, watch, stand fast in the faith, be brave, be strong. Let all that you do be done in love. I stand here for love, and love does not seek its own. I ask for you, City Council, to be brave, strong, and to have faith working through love. Preborn children are made in the image of God, according to Genesis 1:27. My son standing here, I saw his heartbeat at 6 weeks. That's 2 weeks after fertilization. I lost 2 babies before him. He was an at-risk pregnancy. He's here alive today. 16 years later, I'm so honored to be a mom and to have him growing and enjoying his development. God commands us not to murder in his law. Exodus 20:13 says that. A nurse told me during my pregnancy at Saddleback Hospital that it's a 40-week contract, Anne Marie. Planned Parenthood is not your friend. They profit millions of dollars from baby body parts. And Margaret Sanger was a eugenicist. According to Romans 13:1-4, City Council, your job is to protect the innocent preborn and punish the evildoers. God does overrule the state, and separation of church, and it is not separation of church, and it is not separation of God and state. The First Amendment just says that that the state cannot tell you what church to go to. The Apostle Paul wrote, you will be judged without partiality, City Council, and the shedding of innocent blood brings judgment.
on a nation. And then we all need to remember this. God is merciful and gracious and willing to forgive all our sins. Romans 5:8. But God demonstrates his own love toward us, and that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Thank you, Councilmember Noblek. You are brave. You are righteous. Okay. God is applauding you. Keep this item on the agenda. This issue protects the voice of unborn babies. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name's Maureen Aiken. I've lived in this city since 1976, have 4 children, properties, businesses. I don't know why all of that matters. I don't know why we all have to even be talking about this. Mr. Knobloch, instead of taking notes right now, I want you to look out at the audience. Look what you've created today. Why are we all here? We live in San Clemente. You're a city council member. You're an attorney. You went to law school. You know this is not your place. It is not your place to get up here and put your religious views and your personal beliefs. I'm pro-life. What does that mean? I believe in taking care of homeless people. I believe that Kurt Reinhold should not have been shot. He wasn't walking across the street. He was walking across a driveway. And I was so shocked to see that video. But these views of mine shouldn't even be here. I should be at the beach with my 4 children enjoying myself today, because it's not your place to talk about abortion. You're a city councilman, and I know that you know that. If you believe in helping pregnant women and making fetuses go full term, maybe I believe in that too. But I also believe that most of the people in this room don't know what it's like to not be able to feed themselves and be so poor that maybe they have to get an abortion. Maybe they have things they want to be doing. Maybe they've been raped. Maybe they're an incest survival. It is not your point to be judging that as a city council person. It is not your point to bring this divisiveness to our town. This is a beach community. Before all of this stuff started happening, we were a laid back beach community that I was proud of. Now we're a sanctuary state. We're talking about abortion. What is happening? This is not what you were elected for. Look in the mirror, go help a pregnant woman, go work at the Pregnancy Crisis Center. I'm sure they do great work. Go fund a pregnant mother, adopt a baby. Don't be doing this to us. It's not right. And you all need to take this off the agenda.
So I was shocked last night when I got notice that this was going to be taking place. Like so many of us, I did not have time to really prepare a statement. I read through what you wrote, Mr. Knobloch, and I was appalled by the language that was used. To use God in those terms and to say God is the author and the finisher of life, I'm sure your intentions were good, but we all know that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I am so proud to live in San Clemente. This place is a sanctuary. A sanctuary is basically a place of refuge, a place of safety. We love to come home to San Clemente because the minute we turn off that freeway, we're back in the awesome place that we all get along, even if we don't agree on certain subjects. But here we are on a Saturday discussing whether we're pro-life or pro-abortion. That is not the case here. We are pro-choice. We also have the choice of who to elect. And quite honestly, I am so shocked by the lack of transparency presented by you when you run for city council. So I am happy to say that there are many of us that have now had the veil lifted from our eyes. And when it does come time to vote, we will take action. I also want to thank you, Mr. Knobloch, for actually bringing forth what I've been saying to my nieces and my nephews about your vote matters. And it matters most importantly where you live. We will be voting. It is drastically important. One last thing, this can of worms that you have opened. There are so many other reasons that this is going to cause problems. IVF, when are they going to come after IVF? And for those of us who have had to terminate a pregnancy because of risk of life, I am mortally wounded by your, I don't even know how to say it, your hubris. I kindly ask that you remove this resolution. And if you don't, I will see you on August 16th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speakers, Nancy White Weinbers, Jeannie Gormick, Pamela Roth, Judy Orlandella, Mark Mendizo, Jackie, Judith Frant, Beth Sandine.
Thank you today. I and many, many others applaud Steve Knobloch's courage for acting not like a typical politician and doing something he believes in, despite the fact that it could hurt his reelection. I am here to speak on behalf of those who cannot speak, unborn children in women's wombs. I want to address the argument that it's about a woman's right to control her body. When you say you cannot rob a bank or drive drunk, we are essentially telling people what they can and cannot do with their bodies. So this argument is ludicrous. It's ludicrous. We are constantly regulating what people can and cannot do with their bodies. If people saw a TikTok video in which an animal killed this unborn so we could go out and play again unencumbered with offspring, we would be aghast. We would marvel at this animal's lack of normal protective instincts and would feel revulsion. Yet somehow, when we put the words women's right to choose, this right is applauded. It might be a different story if we didn't have thousands of loving, childless couples who would practically cut off a limb to adopt a newborn. But that's not the case. The pro-life stance isn't about forcing unprepared mothers to stop their lives and raise their babies. It's about letting their babies live and be raised by a couple who would do anything to have and raise their child. A woman who had to carry a child to term is a woman who will realize that lovemaking is about more than a moment's pleasure, will feel and realize the beauty and miraculousness of the ability to create life, and will hopefully move into a place of more maturity and true respect for her body. Let's be honest, there's no pain-free way out of an unplanned pregnancy. Abortions aren't pain-free, as somewhere down the road, she will be mature enough to understand and feel the brunt of knowing she killed her child. And in my opinion, this is a much, much, much more sad and traumatic place to be. Do we want to show the world that San Clemente stands for allowing babies to live? Do we want to promote doing the right thing, which truly honors women's bodies? Or do we stand for telling women that they can just easily and swiftly kill their children so they don't have to be inconvenienced for the 10 months it takes to allow their child to have a chance at life? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
If I could just remind y'all to please state your name when you start to speak, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Greetings. My name is Jackie. Greetings to our neighbors and community of Orange County. I am Jackie, a mother and elder of Santa Ana, a true sanctuary city. I applaud you all for being here. I am very grateful that you all showed up on a whim to show how much we care about these things. We care about life. We all care about life. You are on native land. This sea country is a Hashiman nation with its own tribal councils. Stay calm and be respectful. First, San Clemente, you are out of order. Now you want to pretend you're a sanctuary for life, yet you cowards would never stand accountable or speak out for the violent execution of a father here, Kurt Andres Reinhold. You took the life of God's child. You never showed up for his mother, his daughter, or the BIPOC youth who asked us to stand with them when they wanted to ask you why you did it. San Clemente, I have never in my life seen so much racist hatred as I have here in your tiny town. Your residents were outraged when we told them Black Lives Matter. The ugliest faces hurling threats at us when we came to you in protest over the murder of this Black man. You are hereby charged with hate crimes, conspiracy, and murder in the first degree for the unlawful death of Kurt Andres Reinhold. For surely it is hatred that drives you to conspire to train an ordinary man into a killer, and then dress him up, arm him with bullets, call him a homeless outreach liaison, and send him out in the streets to hunt us down. Just like in Uvalde, Texas, we are being slaughtered out here by your sheriff for your killing sport and bloody budgets. We know the entire force and city officials are in on the act. We publicly denounce your culture of killing, the blood on your hands from human sacrifice. And we say no more false flags.
Thank you.
Nancy White Weinbers, Jeannie Gormick, Mark Mendiza, Judith Brandt, Beth Sandine, Parlor Holvia. Do we have any of these speakers? I'll keep going. Garrett Bean and Melissa Parmalee. Finally, Ruth. Please state your name when you come to the podium.
Hi there, my name is Parker Colvin. I have very messy handwriting.
Sorry about that.
I live and work in San Clemente. For what it's worth, my wife and I have adopted a couple kids. I wasn't planning to speak today, but I wanted to address Councilman Duncan to say thank you. When the Dobbs decision was handed down and a lot of our kids went out to voice their displeasure and protest in front of City Hall, they were subject to a lot of harassment and intimidation from adults, and you went out and stood with them. So I appreciate that. And I just want to mention something that concerned me. I hope this is a one-off because this topic is so wildly outside of a city council's purview. But in the crowd is being handed out an email from the mayor to Councilwoman Ferguson from city email addresses attempting to achieve a quorum on this resolution outside of a public meeting. As I'm sure you know, in California, we're all, as elected officials, which I used to be, subject to the Brown Act, which is California's sunshine law, which basically criminalizes trying to do public business privately. We have to do it in front of the public. So if you conduct a meeting with one council member and then ask a third, you've now achieved a quorum outside of a public space. And as you know, that's against California law. So I know it's really controversial, probably didn't want to air it out in public, but if you're going to bring city business, you got to do it in public. So in the future, stick to city business. It should be pretty easy to talk about without having to do it on email.
Hi, I'm Melissa Parmalee. I moved here when I was about 8 years old. I grew up here. I was formed here. San Clemente has taught me a lot.
a lot of it is peacefully coexisting with neighbors who might think differently than me. And I will echo a lot of sentiments that have already been said. You will hear the word purview from me, I'm sure. But I think, like my dad said, I said, repetition is really important. I hope you're listening. I hope you're hearing what people are repeatedly saying to you about what you've done. I graduated from San Clemente High School. I love the education I got there, except for maybe the abstinence-only sex education. I quibble with that. But what the San Clemente High School education I got taught me was how to be civic-minded, how to understand government, what the purview of your role is, and this is not it. I hope you understand that. I hope you have pride in the people who got their education here like I do, who will understand that you're not doing what your job is. And that's really all I have to say. Whatever you think about the contents of what you've written, which, by the way, my education also allowed me to read that and understand that it was poorly done, to be frank, I hope you take it with you that you're not doing your job with this proposal. You're not doing it well. And I hope you're listening to the people who will most likely not vote for you in the coming election. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Garrett Bean. I apologize for any interruptions, but it was important for me to come here and speak today. I'm a man, a resident of San Clemente. I'm appalled and reject the council member Knobloch's Sanctuary for Life proposal. Under Knobloch's proposal, the council considers pushing another measure to impose the council's non-representational views on all of San Clemente residents. But even worse, you push your views into our homes, our bedrooms, and the most intimate and private place where families make their most difficult and toughest decisions. Where both men, women weigh decisions over the risk of their partner's life and make decisions that they never wanted to make in the first place. The council has no governmental right and certainly no moral authority to make this decision for a woman or her family. The council must reject this position against abortion and women's fundamental right to control their body, their lives, and their access to healthcare. I would feel remiss if I didn't address the council's last sanctuary position. You as a council ordained our city as a Second Amendment city, a gun sanctuary. All of this while our schools, our nation, our cities continue to be plagued and reeling from gun violence. My boy's job. My boy's job is trying to be a good person, treat others kindly and with respect, and to get an education, not for drills where we look for active shooters. Just last week, what happened and where did we get? We had a shooting across from an elementary school at Maxburg Park. You are putting our community at risk. You're threatening, thank you. You're threatening our safety. Just like your recent gun sanctuary proclamation, your positions may appear to be politically expedient and excite a very small people in your circle. However, you tarnish our beautiful city of San Clemente. You embarrass our residents. You are not making our community safer. In fact, you're making it more dangerous and more divisive. Get back to work on important issues in our community. Address our declining public safety. Address homelessness. Protect our eroding beaches. Reduce our electric bills, improve civility, and support our local businesses. But above all, be nice and stay out of our private lives and our bedrooms. Thank you.
City Clerk, how many more do you think we have?
I'm going to read these names one more time. Nancy White Weinbers, Jeannie Gormick, Mark Mendiza, Judith Brandt, Beth Sandine. Would you like to speak? Yes. Okay.
Last night. But I will address everybody here, and that is, I'm here. I see a lot of people that are here today because the numbers moving forward. Aren't you all doing their-
Ma'am, you need to address the council, okay? No, you need to address the council.
Explored and discussed on not a overnight message of discriminating. I'm asking that you keep it on, we have a little bit more precedence in regards to alerting other people, other than people that are out of city residents and or out of state residents. Other than people are. So, ready, my first daughter was homegrown. My second daughter was adopted. You know why? Her mother chose life. And I stand with how far in regards to making this situation. A city who loves the Planned Parenthood, 90% of the Planned Parenthood are selling. That is not right. They're taking something from a human being and selling that as a profit. They get federally funded, but they're also profiting by different types of Pfizer and or Moderna and a lot of these different kinds of entities that put into our vaccines. So those baby cells. So I am here to allow and address you and giving us time on August 16th to meet over, not just 4 or 5 of us on email last night, but I'm hoping to know so quickly on something that will be presented today here from Trump County.
Thank you, ma'am. City clerk.
I don't believe there are any more speakers. I've called the names. If you submitted a card, Ruth, I didn't see there. Ruth has a card in. I said you do have a card in. I did not see you there.
Somehow or another, Ruth always gets the last word.
Good afternoon. Been a long day. I was not planning on speaking to this issue. You know what my issue was. I spoke during open communications. But I just want to say that no one here knows my religious beliefs or lack of them, nor should you. It's none of your business. I respectfully ask that the council consider the same position. What your personal religious beliefs are should not dictate how you see the best things for our city. We elected you based on not your religious beliefs, but on doing right for us. So I would ask that you reconsider bringing these things up on the dais. Secondly, no one here knows my position on choice or abortion. I am very glad that I have not stated it because the disrespect that this room has shown opposition opinions has been just awful. The accusations that have been placed against you, our city council, including some threats, is not called for. You know, if you make an agenda item, you have the right to do that. And we have the right to agree or disagree. But for criminy sake, this has been awful. we have treated you awfully, and you know, you and I don't always disagree. But this has been a travesty for our city. Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, council members, does anyone want to make a motion?
Can I make one
Well,
discussion before we do a motion?
Yeah,
you want more, council wants more comments? Go ahead.
yes. Now that
I'm
we've
only
heard-
going to speak to the motion.
Okay.
Mayor. And what's before us. This is a duly noticed council meeting with notice to the public, and that is how so many people did show up today. We heard comments on all sides. I would just ask that the council, my request is to pull this resolution from August 16th, because we heard the comment today from people. Let's get back to what the business we're supposed to do. August 16th is a council meeting where we are supposed to do the business of the city and hold that in respect. And having more discussion on top of what we've already done today is going to detract from that. That is the reason I believe we're doing this today, and we're doing it sooner than August 16th, is because there was no need to let this go any further than it did and trouble anyone on either side about this. And you notice I did not talk today about the issue at hand because I don't believe it belongs here. So you have no idea. I haven't said even on the record to any news person what my beliefs are, because I don't believe they belong here. And I hold that dearly. So I would ask council to please dispense with this today and put it behind our city so that we can get on with the business that we are supposed to be doing.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, I think I'd just like to round out the conversation because we have heard from the public now, and I think that that's critically important. You know, what we've heard is that this decision is the private and often most difficult, decision for a woman in their entire lives. The most private and often the most difficult decision for a woman in their entire lives. Now, what we've seen here is an attempt to minimize this resolution by some. We've seen an attempt to hide the resolution from the public. We've seen an attempt to rush a meeting so that perhaps the public couldn't participate. An attempt to sweep this under the rug like it never happened. But make no mistake, this is an attempt to subjugate women and girls like my daughters into being second-class citizens. That's what this is. Now, they can't do it at the national level. So they try to do it at the local level with resolutions just like this in the hope that other cities might follow San Clemente's lead. That's dangerous. That's going to cost women's lives. This is serious business. And that was all about to happen, but you wouldn't let it. All of you right here, you wouldn't let it. And everybody who wrote in, you're the reason we're here today, and we're going to shoot this thing down, and it's never going to come before us, and hopefully will never come again. It's all because of your public participation. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Mr. Noblock.
Is there a motion?
No, do you have anything
Now,
to add?
I have one last thing.
Well, get on.
Let's
with
get back to the city's business and go vote on November 8th.
I'll speak to the motion if there is one. If there's a second.
I'm going to thank everyone for coming out today. And we did rush this. And the reason why we rushed it was many of you wrote to us wanting it rushed, wanting us to immediately take this off the agenda. But I will also say, council received threats that had to be referred to the sheriff's department, and ultimately referred to the DA's office. This was such a divisive issue. I will take responsibility to say, I wanted to do this today. As the mayor, I did have the authority to call for a meeting with 24-hour notice. That was not intended to silence anyone. That was not intended to mitigate anyone's opinion. It was an attempt on my part to put this behind us. And that's why we're here today. Councilmember Noblock, you have something
I just
further?
wonder if there was a second to the motion.
Was that a motion?
There actually is no motion yet, but I will move that we remove Sanctuaries for Life City Resolution from August 16th, 2022 City Council meeting agenda.
Second.
So motion by Ward, second by Mayor Pro Tem Duncan. All in favor? Aye.
I'd like to speak to,
okay,
I'd like to speak
please,
to the motion.
please.
Yeah, I oppose the motion and you know, there was a lot of discussion today about the can of worms being opened. This resolution didn't open a can of worms. The issue of abortion is a public policy issue that is now forefront in society. The state of California, the Democrat-controlled legislature and governor has put on the agenda the unfettered constitutional right for a woman to kill her baby clear up any time through delivery, not through the entire 10 months. That's the proposition. You need to read it. That can of worms has been opened. That's why I suggested this city take an action to oppose that. It is a slippery slope, but it's one that this society is going to have to deal with and one that's going to have to address. Regarding the comments earlier about some collusion to bring this on back in June with Mayor James, I got to tell you, when I put this agenda item up, no member of the council had a copy of the resolution. The references, I think, to Mayor James probably had to do with Proposition 9, which is a disaster for any society. And but he had no advance notice, neither did any of my colleagues. So I just like to make that clear. I think we've heard both sides. I appreciate everyone coming out to speak. I think those that have spoken in favor of life have been courteous and kind in their remarks. And I appreciate everyone coming out. I think this issue needs to be vetted. The city weighs in on public policy issues that affect our community. The life and death of babies affects our communities. I think it's appropriate, and I would vote no on that motion. So with that, those are my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Noblock, for those comments. So all in favor of It's motion by Ward, second by Mayor Pro Tem to remove the agenda item. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
3-1 with Mr. Noblock opposing. City Clerk,
Yes. Next time on the agenda is adjournment.
adjourn. Someone a motion to adjourn. I don't have the.
I move that we adjourn the next that the next regular meeting is scheduled to take place on August 16th, 2022. Part 1 of the business meeting will commence at 5 p.m. and closed session will begin at 6 p.m. Part 2 of the business meeting will commence at 7 p.m. The meeting will take place here at the Community Center Auditorium located at 100 North Calle Seville, San Clemente.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion by Duncan, second by Noblock, passes 4-0. Thank you.